Hello guys, welcome to GizzyFix. Thank you very much for joining us today. Going to do something a little bit different on this video. I'm going to take a little trip down memory lane, and not just down any memory lane, down the PlayStation memory lane, the PlayStation 1 memory lane. I'm going to stop saying memory lane. I know that's annoying, sorry. Essentially, I want to look at games that I played when I was younger. Now, I want to know what I saw in them. It can't just be that they were the only games I had, because I played these games quite a lot, and I've tried to select ones that are not that good. They're just not that good games. They're not critically received that well. There are one or two in there that have slipped the net. Don't get me wrong. There are a couple that you think that's not a bad game. And you're right, it's not. But then again, opinions are subjective and all those sort of things anyways. But predominantly, out of the 19 or 20 that I've chosen, they're commonly thought of as not great games. They've not started a series. They've not particularly perpetuated their way through history or anything like that. But I want to dig into these. I want to know why I played these games. And I'm sure in the thumbnail you've seen it, be like, oh my God, why was he playing that? And that is a good question. Let's find out. So in no discernible order, let's start with Tekken. A nice one for being in the shot, knobhead. That's a really good start. Now, I'll only play it once, but I simply cannot be the only one who never gets tired of the Sony PlayStation 1 startup jingle. It is simply the best. So I think this is the first time I saw this on the PlayStation, where they gave you a classic arcade game to play whilst the game was loading. Fantastic. Okay, developed by Namco and released in the UK on November 7th, 1995. Stupid little factoid, it was actually the first PlayStation game to sell over 1 million units. Not too shabby. Now, I love the FMVs. I think they're on the cusp of getting really, really good. But without the groundwork that these guys were laying at the time, who knows where we would have gone. And funny. Yeah, they're obviously funny. Now, what do I really have to say about Tekken? Not a huge amount. It was the gold standard of 3D fighting games alongside Virtua Fighter for a long time. But for me, I chose Tekken because I actually played this one more than Tekken 2. And even when I had Tekken 2, I was playing Tekken more. And I am going to choose Law because I'm cheap. And I think the reason was because, quite simply, it was my first love. It was one of the first games I played on the PlayStation. I fell in love with it, and that's the reason I kept playing and absolutely love it to this day. So it may have come to your attention that these graphics look incredibly crisp for the time. That's because I'm playing it on the DuckStation emulator with a lot of the enhancements on, just for the sake of your eyes, because we know PlayStation graphics could warp and wobble a little bit, don't we? So yeah, not a huge mystery why I played this one a lot. It's a great game, deserves its place in history, and to be honest, I even enjoyed playing it when I was capturing this footage, so yeah, it's a no-brainer. Nice easy one that. I don't think there's really much more to say on Tekken. Let's move on to the next. Right, here we go, Shellshock. Now we're getting into it. And if you think I'm buying the PlayStation version for this video, you've got another thing coming. Now for me, this has got to be one of my most nostalgic games ever. It takes me back instantly every time I play it. And I did play it a lot, but the mystery is why? What did I see in this game? Well, to be honest, it was quite cool. For the time, it was quite cool. Okay, not so much now. An interesting little fact about this one, it was actually developed by the same team that created Tomb Raider, which also released later that same year. Okay, so a fairly early release in terms of the PlayStation. It was released in the UK on the 19th of April 1996. And the premise of the game is actually fairly simple. You're part of this cool urban hip-hop sort of anti-terror task force, if you want to call it that, but basically you're just manning a tank. You are in a tank shooting other tanks, which are basically just, you know, terrorists, and blowing them up. And it's sort of shot in the feel of a 90s gritty action movie, which actually did sort of vibe with a lot of people back in the time. Well, it certainly did with me. Now, the game had a pretty mixed reception upon its release. The tank controls, as you can see, I'm sort of struggling with it at the moment, but they were difficult to master. It essentially is tank controls, but you can strafe using the R1 and L1 buttons, but it still never felt intuitive. But it feels satisfying when you blow another tank up. But the trouble is, doing that is actually really difficult, and trying not to get hit yourself is kind of key to the game. And it's pretty merciless. Like, you can only take a few hits before you're game over yourself. Graphically as well, it's not particularly stunning. It's quite pixelated even for 1996. So yeah, I don't think I could really accurately say it was those reasons that kept me coming back to it. But I loved it. I actually really enjoyed playing it. And I think it was just purely for the fact I was playing a 3D game, and it actually played well enough that it was for the time. But yeah, other than that, now there's not much here, and it's really hard, so not much to say. Let's move on. But I love you, Shellshock. I still love you. Now, to mix it up a bit, let's look at a driving game, and another one really close to my heart is Porsche Challenge. Right guys, you know the drill. First things first, let's have a look at the intro FMV, and I must say, bravo developers, I like it very much. Yeah, and a quick one on the music. This definitely emphasises the fact that the PlayStation was being increasingly viewed as a mature, sophisticated console. So I think it's definitely indicative of maybe the constraint of the development of the time. Bloody hell, that was a convoluted sentence. But every single car in the game is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the colour and the driver. It's the Porsche Boxster. Interestingly, the developers worked directly with Porsche's engineers to ensure the car's engine sound and handling were as accurate as possible. And that is the reason why I did love this game, because I love the way it handles. You can actually genuinely feel the weight of the car as it shifts. Now, you Gran Turismo players out there will know exactly what I'm talking about, where you have to shift the weight of the car to effectively go around corners. Now, whether or not that's happening in-game, I don't know, or it's a sort of approximation that the developers tried to fit into the game, but they've done a fantastic job at actually implementing that, or at least some sort of version of it into the game, because it genuinely feels really good. It really does feel great to steer this thing round corners. Graphically, the game has held up very well. This came out in 1997. Now just look at some of the textures that are actually on that. Yes, it's being updated with the DuckStation, I get that, but so is every other game that I've shown. Now this game still looks quite good, it really does. But unfortunately the game wasn't overly critically received that well. Now credit where credit's due in terms of the graphics, but unfortunately with the one car limitation, possibly due to how much work the developers were doing in terms of the dynamics of the handling of the cars, it really held it back critically and we never saw another Porsche challenge. Genuinely, I actually really liked this game and still enjoyed it when I played it, so if you've not tried it, give it a go. Not a huge amount more to say. Yeah, I liked Porsche Challenge. I still like Porsche Challenge. Come at me. Okay, yeah, so we've had a good one. Let's even it out a bit by doing a bit of a crappy one. Time Commando. Oh, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this one, to be honest. So, yeah, I played Time Commando when I was younger. That's about it. Yeah, let's move on. Cool. Right, Too Extreme. I think we can all agree this was one of those good games as well. Not great, but good. Good for the time. Still... What? Oh, all right, let's at least dig into it a little bit. Oh, God. Okay, released in the UK on September 30th, 1996. This game was made by Adeline, that company there. So the premise of the game is quite simple. You're just a commando in time, going back to various eras throughout history, such as the prehistoric, Roman, medieval, feudal Japan and the Wild West. You're only going to see the prehistoric areas because that was all I could really stomach, so I couldn't endure anymore, sorry. Right, it's that time again. Let's have a quick look at the FMVs. What is going on? To quote Red Letter Media, "Oh my god, what's wrong with your face?" Yeah, sorry about that. I really do like... Yeah, seriously, what's going on? What's going on with the FMV? Surely someone would have looked at that. Maybe a style they're going for or something, but there's just no excuse. Now, I hate kind of pissing all over it because somewhere, at some point in time, there were a group of people absolutely grafting on this. So credit where credit's due. It's dynamic. There's a lot going on, and I'm sure a lot of effort has gone into this. But I'm really sorry, guys. It just hasn't held up that well. But do you know what? Credit where credit's due, man. You gave it a good go. Right, I didn't make this video just to crap all over the game, because I want to be a bit more analytical than that and a little bit grown up. You know, this is not the angry video game nerd. Sorry, James Rolfe, still love ya. There's interesting technology going on with this. So it uses a unique blend where the character is fully 3D, but the backgrounds are all pre-rendered full motion video. Now this scrolls as you walk, and it's a bit weird to get used to. Now none of the enhancements from DuckStation will actually work on this. All the 3D models they will, you can see they look quite good, but all the full motion video will remain exactly as it was. Now maybe on a CRT TV in 1996 you could hide a lot of these misgivings, but when you put it on a HD display, boy does it shine how sort of ropey it is. But actually, for the time, it actually got some fairly good reviews. It was mostly mixed, but there were one or two that commended it for actually looking quite good. Now, they were the full motion video. Back in the day, this probably looked quite sound, but unfortunately, it just hasn't held up that well. You are essentially on rails in a 3D game. Like I say, it's a really unique blend of technologies and it works to a degree, but it's just too clunky to play. You can see me struggling to actually fight this tiger, and I'm just not having a great time. I'm doing some sort of kung fu there, I don't even know what's going on. But I think for young me, back in the day, I probably saw this and be like, wow, this is cool. Look at those graphics. I don't think I ever got past the first level. I think that was it. I think the graphics were good enough for me to come back to this game, but it was too hard to make any meaningful progress past the first level, and I just didn't have it in me to push on. And you know what? Let's push on. Sorry, Time Commando. I don't know. I just don't know. Right, do you mind if I actually get to Too Extreme now? God. So this one was made by Sony Interactive Studios America and was released in March 1997. Now, to try and sum up the game, I suppose one way you could describe it is if you got any Tony Hawk's game and, say, Road Rash from the Mega Drive and tried to get them to mate and produce a baby game, what you kind of get is Too Extreme. Now, the big question we have to ask is it actually too extreme? Well, to be honest, not really. No, not that much. But it weren't a bad game, and I must admit, I enjoyed playing this when I was younger. So yeah, unfortunately lacking in the terms of a dynamic introduction of the developers, and no FMV, so marks down for that. I mean, not many marks, but yeah, I'm still marking you down for it. Now, in terms of the game itself, it's pretty basic. It's just a racing game. It's got elements of Road Rash where you can fight other people around you. You're looking to steer, you're looking to avoid obstacles, you're trying to get through as many gates as possible, come first and knock every other git off their bike or skateboard. So you can skate on this, you can also mountain bike, and obviously you can, skateboard. Now, graphically, it don't look too bad. Don't get me wrong, again, Duck Station's doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. But, interestingly, the character itself, as you can see me rotate around, is actually a 2D sprite. Everything else is three-dimensional. Now, there's a lot of assumed knowledge sometimes in videos where we talk about sprites and things like that. So if you don't actually know what it is, it's basically a two-dimensional bitmap or image that represents an object in the game. So another way to look at it is how they're made, and they are basically a series of pixels that are arranged on a flat grid. Now, in terms of a developer and what they want to show you, if they wanted to show a character walking or they want to show my character falling over, they have to develop a series of individual images or frames and play them in sequence. Think of it like a flipbook. But in terms of performance, this is a major upside. They're generally very light on the hardware because the PS1 only has to display a static image file. So really, it is a trade-off. So as part one of this series draws to a close with this final video on Too Extreme, I think I've had a bit of an epiphany in terms of understanding why I played these games so much when I was younger and why I still hold them in quite high regard in terms of nostalgia. And I've noticed a bit of a recurring theme with some of these games. Now I've looked back at them, now I've had time to actually reflect on them, it was because they left such an impression on me. Some of these games were the first ones I ever played on the PS1, and coming from the Mega Drive, making that jump to a proper 32-bit, cool, awesome console as the PlayStation, it left such an impression on me, and I think these games have imprinted on me a little bit. They genuinely have. That's why I hold them in such high regard. That's why they kind of hold that little special place in my heart. For as crap as they are, some of them, they're always going to be good to me to some regard because they link me back to that young version of myself. So there we are, guys. That is the end of part one of this series of looking back at some of my most nostalgic games and also just to understand why I played them. And if you're still with us, thank you so much for coming down this trip with me down memory lane. It's been an absolute pleasure talking about these games, and hopefully I've shared some insight with them for yourself as well. Guys, thank you so much wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope you're doing well, and who knows, maybe I'll see you in the next video. Take care.